What is up, DMV basketball fans? Welcome into another Believe in DMV Hoops. I'm Matt Moderno. I'm joined here today by George Washington head coach Chris Caputo. Chris, you guys, we're recording this before the crown, so you're currently 21-12.
Yeah,
To me, seemed like a really good season. This was a step in the right direction for the program, and as we can talk about here a little bit, a couple possessions away from even taking this thing even further. So I thought you guys, were genuinely really close to taking an even bigger jump, but still progress from last year. So how are you feeling about things overall?
yeah, sure. We've had a good year. We lost Garrett Johnson, who I think is,
Yep.
one of the best players in the Atlantic 10, probably coming into the season in July or in June rather, and I was concerned when you lose a
Sure.
great player to injury, and Garrett's well on the way back. But to go 21-12, win a game in the conference tournament, get into the postseason for the first time, all those things for the first time in 9 years. We're proud of that. This has been, a build here. I thought we were well on our way last year before the injuries. We're 14-3 with wins at VCU and beat Mason by 15 points at home, and felt like we were ascending with a young group. And then the injury bug hit us. And then I thought it hit us again in the summer, and I was concerned. But our group really came together. We competed, to have a good, strong non-conference. And then a strong conference play. I mean, we were so competitive in almost every game. A couple of I think it was 4 of our 9 losses, or 5 might have been like in the last possession. So great progress here, great commitment from GW to help us move this thing forward, and playing in the crown on national television with all those big brands out there, I think is a good step for us.
You're a pretty young team overall here too, and the teams you're competing against in the A10, the teams that were at the top of the league standings, were a lot older. Like, they were just veteran-led teams, and not just senior-led teams, but sometimes fifth-year senior-led teams.
Fifth and sixth.
Yeah, exactly right. It's really hard to make up that advantage though too.
Yeah. No, and I think, like, for us, with the type of school we are in, institutionally, academically, we're not. It's going to be hard for us to just do 1-year guys all the time. Like, we're going to have some level of continuity. But again, I think I'm proud of what our roster looks like and what it's going to look like going forward.
Before we get too far into this, we're brought to you by BetOnline. It's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on all the madness. Even if your bracket is busted, BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action, with a free Sweet 16 bracket and live betting on every remaining tournament game, with the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to MLB, NHL, everything you can think of. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more. BetOnline, the game starts here. So just talking about that a little bit, like, when you have this success and you can show progress and we're going in the right direction here, does that make recruiting and the portal and things like that easier to get, more guys to buy in that you're headed where they want to go?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think anything gets easier, in recruiting. I joke about that. Always seems like it's a game of whack-a-mole to some degree.
Sure.
But I would say, what it does for our program, because GW just has not had the type of success it had for 25 years, from the early 90s to 2016's NIT championship, became an afterthought, not as relevant, to be honest. And now I think we're, when we get on the phone with people in the portal, or our own players have a belief, I have guys in my roster believe, we have enough to win our league next year if we do the right work in the portal. And again, I think with who we have returning, I think that could be real, and so, with that, I would say, we've even going to the crown again, it gives you some visibility that you probably just didn't have for a number of years. So I think we're in a good place there. And again, I feel pretty confident that we'll be able to attract and retain really good players here. And I think retention is obviously such an important part of that,
Yeah, absolutely. 2 seasons ago, had more of an offensive-minded team. I would say you guys got up and down, shot a lot of threes. This year seemed to be a little more defensive-minded. I don't know if that's just by choice or how it worked out, or was there something you learned between the 2 seasons that changed how you kind of built out this roster? And is there anything you learned from this season that'll change how you build out next year's roster?
No, yeah. I mean, look, I think the youth and the amount of guys we had to get last year I would say I inherited more of an offensive group.
I got you.
And then the second year, you're trying to do a good job of building out a better, more athletic, more positional size defensive group. But we were so young, and that's a function of the portal. That's a function of NIL and all that. But now we're able to put a team that went from, I think, in the raw points per possession, 250 in the country to top 30 in the country at one point. So, again, I feel like that'll be the identity of our program going forward. And yet, we're also going to, I hope we can be good offensively. I hope we can, do the things that we've done. I was really proud of. We were third in the league in defense. We were third in the league in assists by field goals made, and I think that's really important. We want to defend. We want to share the ball. Everyone talks about that, but I think we put it to work in action this year.
My favorite thing from your guys' season actually happened off the court in the presser at the A10 tournament. There was maybe a certain player on another team that was chirping at you guys a little bit during the game, and you had a few words back for that particular player and just said, like, nobody is going to talk that way to our program, even if I have to be the one to tell them that they're not going to talk to our bench that way, and something to that effect. But I love that, because I think that trickles down from you to the rest of those guys, and there was a different level of toughness, it seemed like, this season. So is that something you guys talk about? Is just kind of like, hey, we're going to draw a line here for what we're willing to tolerate from from some of these other teams?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think sometimes in the heat of the moment, those things occur, and we want to operate with class, most importantly, but we're not going to back down. We're not going to play second fiddle, or I hope that it's been clear in at least all three of my years, really, that again, we had those injuries in the spring semester last year. It made it really difficult for us. But if you look at my first year, 10-8 in the league, you look at this year, 9-9 in the league. It's not where we want to be, but I think hopefully it's been clear that, hey, look, you're gonna have to beat us. We're not going to just. This is just not a win on the schedule like it may have been for 5, 6, 7 years prior. And I say that's no indictment of the coaches that were here prior. It really is the institutional commitment now that we're beginning to get, from our president, Ellen Gramberg, from our CFO, Bruno Fernandez, from our athletic director, Michael Lippitz, from our board, where I think that there's an alignment about how important basketball, the role that basketball plays at the university, and what it's done in the past. What it's meant to win an NIT, to go to a Sweet 16, to be a top 10 team in the country, to fill the Smith Center, and the impact that has on the institution and the community. And so for all those reasons, I think we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah, it's great if they're kind of realizing the role that athletics can play in bolstering the academics too. Like people always talk about, like, the Flutie bump, and how if you get national TV recognition, that's really great for enrollment.
Yeah, I mean, we're already the best academic school in the Atlantic 10, but I think we're striving to be a perennial top 50 school, and a perennial top 50 basketball program.
I love that. Another thing you mentioned at the A10 tournament was just sort of the coverage here locally of the area basketball teams, and that obviously resonated with us here over at the overall Department of Hoops team, because that's been my take too. Like, there's so many good, interesting stories in the area here, just not even at the team level, but sometimes even just the player level, and we don't hear those things enough. People love basketball here in the area. They also love winning here in the area. So I'm thinking that now maybe the time is right, that all these programs kind of seem on the way up collectively here, that maybe there's an opportunity to kind of raise that profile, at least locally. But what do you think that is that we haven't been able to kind of crack through and get more local coverage on these teams?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think, and I mentioned Jeff Bezos, and kind of jokingly, although I've given him enough of my money in my life that I feel like I maybe could be somewhat critical of Mr. Bezos. Just that, my understanding is, the Washington Post is a national paper. They don't believe that, they're going to get enough clicks writing about college basketball in this area anymore. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I'm sure they have some data that says at some point in time that was the case. But I think the basketball culture is such a big part of our community here. We have great high school basketball. We We have great college basketball.
Mhm.
Teams that are in the postseason, NCAA tournament teams, NIT, the Crown, people, we have an NBA team, we have a G League team. I think collectively people in this area love basketball. And when I was here the last time, we had beat writers writing about our games. We had
Sure.
some columnists writing about it, and so, for me, I would just say, I know the world of media has changed. Thank God for the work that you're doing and your group. I will say, you had TV out today, two different stations come out
Let's
today.
go. That's right.
Dave Preston came out today for the radio. So, I think that's been great, but I think we can do more, and we've got to give them good reasons, and we've got to make sure we're reminding everybody that we're here and we're doing great work and we're on national television often. And again, I think that's only going to elevate. I think Georgetown's going to get better and better. So I feel like the time is right to capitalize on this and to make sure that we're putting out great content, even if it's us ourselves.
I feel like it's like the WNBA thing to a certain extent, where like ESPN convinced themselves that fans will only watch, stories about LeBron or the Cowboys over and over again. And then once people saw that product, they realized, oh, this is something we can really get behind. And if you show people it and let the numbers kind of be what they are, maybe that's something they can build on. But I think one
Right.
way to do that and draw more interest here is a DMV Classic. You've got the Big Five in Philly. There are enough close together teams here. You guys obviously played Mason 3 times this year, and there's essentially 2 possessions separated 2 of those games. And it was really fun basketball to watch. It was probably
Yeah.
annoying to be a part of to some extent, but
Well,
that's
they had a great year, and but it was annoying when we got fouled with 1.9 and missed the free throws. And God
yep.
bless Rafael Castro. I love that guy, so I owe a lot to him. So I would not. It's not his fault. There were other plays throughout the game, and it was funny. I was a little critical of the officiating, and got it was funny. I think I knew how good they were, how
Mhm.
difficult it would be to win there. And I just couldn't believe that we couldn't figure out a way to win that game with the effort my guys gave, because I knew it's just hard to bring it to that level against that
Yep.
good of a team again. And so, I'm all for potentially like doing some sort of classic.
Mhm.
I even floated the idea, and again, it was probably at the infant stages of doing some sort of preseason
Yeah,
thing,
that'd be amazing.
which we're able to do scrimmages, and
Mhm.
could that be something that's open to the public and it doesn't count, and maybe you could look at it, exhibition, maybe charity, different thoughts, like
Mhm.
that, to try to build some exposure. I'm open to all that. I want to be a good partner with our institutions locally, to try to think of what could be a good thing, and but everybody's got different ideas and what they need for their programs, and so obviously we'd have to all come to the table and figure out what if anything would make sense.
This is something that happened here for a long time, as you're very well aware, with the BB&T Classic, and
Yeah,
it just sort of, phased out over time. But growing up, that was like my favorite local thing, because it kind of
yeah,
signaled to me like, okay, now it's college basketball season. Like there was just different level of interest. If you guys play a non-conference game against, some team from North Carolina, it's like, okay, that's interesting. I'll come out because I care what you guys do. But if you're playing, Howard the first week of the season or whatever, I mean, there's just a little extra juice that kind of carries with it. And with football season, the Commanders are better. The Ravens are going to be a playoff team again. It's just harder, I think, to break through early in the
and I,
season.
and I don't think, like, for me it shouldn't be zero sum. Like,
Sure.
it should be, you benefit from the Commanders being good because more people open the sports
Yeah.
page.
Hmm.
More people are clicking on the websites or what have you. I don't want to view the world as a zero sum world here. I think we
Okay.
can, rising tide can lift all ships.
Hmm. No, it's a great way to look at it. I think just giving them, another reason to put you at the top of the sports page because it's 2 local teams as opposed to 1, I think is a cool way to do that. It's also, I would think, good for recruiting and things like that, and just to have that kind of stuff on the schedule here, and be able to be another opportunity for local teams to have their fans and friends and family and things like that be at a game here too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write this up, and I don't know. We'll see if we can get some continued interest here. But it's good to know that you guys are open to it, and I think it sounds like a lot of your peers, here would be too, to a certain level too. So
Agreed.
I'd love to see
Agreed.
somebody pull that together.
Us too. Us too.
Just how does it feel to be working through the portal right now with games left to be played on your schedule? It just seems kind of different, I guess.
Yeah, I think you know, look, we're all doing it. I like that we get to be around our guys and practice, and I like that we're going on this trip and getting an opportunity to represent the university. I'm never going to complain about that. Certainly, we're spending a lot of time in the portal as well, but we got enough manpower and there's enough time in the day to do both. Although it can be exhausting.
Yeah, I'm sure after this, you guys will, whenever the portal closes back up for a little bit, you guys will maybe hopefully be able to take a couple days to yourselves there to recoup a little bit. Last question I got for you, Coach, is there going to be a Chris Caputo fantasy camp again this summer?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You guys you want to play? You want to cover it?
Maybe both. That would
How
be
old
interesting.
are you? How old are you, Matt? How old are you?
I'm 36. Is there an age?
Perfect age. 35 is the age. You're perfect.
Okay. All right. I'm very interested in that then, but you're gonna have to go easy on me. I don't think I'm as tough as some of the other guys that you're used to coaching.
Oh, it's fun. We had a great time, and if I showed you the list of guys, it's incredible how successful
Sure.
the people are. And that's the cool part for our players. And you bring that level of. I always joke that the business school would have a hard time putting on a symposium with this many successful people. And so we have a new dean of the business school I haven't met yet, but one of the first things I'm going to talk to her about is potentially partnering there, because I think there could be some synergy there. And so, it's a blast, and you're definitely you're in. I'll get you the dates. All right.
I love it. Okay, yeah. As details become available for that, let me know, and we'll definitely promote it here on the show. All right.
Awesome.
You mentioned this is right before the crown here, so good luck. Have fun.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Look forward to
we had a tough matchup with Boise, but excited about it.
Yeah, Dagenhart. It's a tough matchup for a lot of teams this year, so for sure.
Yep. No, it's exciting.
Cool. All right. Thanks. Good luck. I appreciate you, Coach, and we'll talk to you later.
See you, brother. We'll talk.
All right.
All right. See you, Matt. Bye.